Most welcome to third edition of Women's Empowerment Hour, brought to you by media.tv. I'm Siobhan Gannon, founder of Embodied Social Living and The Only Awakening, a Journey of Self-Discovery. And I'm passionate about sexual wellness, education for women and girls, and just about creating change in that area. And my third guest is the wonderful Martina Cotter. And welcome, Martina.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thanks. Now, Martina Cotter is she's founder of Knockroe Wellness Hub. She's a yoga, mindfulness, meditation teacher, NLP life coach, and quantum thinking technologies practitioner. And she shares my passion for sexual wellness and also an advocate for change in that area. So today she's going to be talking about a really important topic that there isn't a lot shared with even in the medical profession, and it's around transitioning for women. So the peri, menopause and thereafter. And she's going to be sharing a few yoga practices and other practices of self-care, and just sharing her wisdom around what she's learned and what she's bringing forward for women to make it an easier process to transition. So, hi Martina, just to tell us a little bit about your journey so far and how you got into holistic health.
Hi Siobhan, thanks for having me today. I got into this, I suppose, well actually about 10 or 11 years ago, I got into mindfulness in a big way for my own well-being. And that journey kind of took me on a path of self-discovery, you know, just living in the moment and just being happy in myself. And about 4 years ago, I started doing training in personal development, and I was doing more yoga, doing more meditations. And then about 2.5 years ago, I trained in life coaching, NLP and QTT, and that was totally life-changing. However, I knew my journey wasn't finished. I knew, like, once I kind of went into my 40s, I knew there was a bigger purpose. I worked in corporate for years and years, and it was a means to an end. So my sole purpose is making change and just all around healing. First and foremost, my healing journey, and now I want to empower and help others heal themselves. So I've trained in Ashtanga yoga for adults and meditation, and I trained for kids yoga and mindfulness meditation. And then recently, obviously, with people not having much, as I have family and friends and stuff who are going through this transition, and there really isn't much. They're asking me for a bit of yoga, and I realized there really wasn't very much of anything for like women of this, you know, age and onwards. So I found a course, teacher training course for all stages of menopause, and it has been phenomenally life-changing. And I just want to get the word out there. It's you know, there's just so much you can do, you know, to help people. I suppose like the transition is a scary one for a lot of women because the knowledge is so little, and they don't know why. They just don't feel themselves. The medical community have so little in way of training around the menopause that when women go to see, you know, their general practitioners or therapists, whatever, they just kind of put them on stuff for their mental health, and I mean that's not going to help them.
But you see a lot of women been put on antidepressants and stuff, and through the cycles, like talking even about the peri and menopause and thereafter. But if you go all the way back, and we were chatting earlier about the menstrual cycle. So when you first have your period, I mean, as we were saying as well, if you know, young girls are put on the pill now for acne. I mean, from the very start, like the results of women now going through menopause and the you know, the difficulties or struggles some women are having, and not every woman has that, but it definitely comes back from the beginning of when you have your period and your experience from there. And then, of course, most of a woman's life, they're going to be on contraception, so they're having artificial hormones, you know, so they never get to know their body or connecting with their body and their natural cycle. So it can be, I would say as well, training as well in Yoni Shakti yoga, that lots of women were talking about grief, that they'd come to a situation now where they're past the menopause and they're suddenly getting this grief when they've suddenly found a different way of dealing or relating to themselves and their periods, because we had come back and we were in a kind of a pod group with the first month was around, you know, your first period and how you would like to have experienced it and how you did experience it. And I was telling you that it's amazing what's in there. I remember I was saying there that it came up right out of my heart, kind of, oh, I would have liked my father to acknowledge it more. And you know, the males as well, that's the male, your masculine energy that you have and your relationship to males on the outside as well, and the relationship to your own masculine energy kind of is all affected in that way. So that was kind of came out of nowhere. But most women, when we were talking, when they went back to that period and their first period, not many could relate in a positive way to how they were told or how it happened or how they related to it. So it really starts back there, and I do believe that the way women go through the other cycles and the transitions will be impacted from that time. So yeah.
You know, sorry.
Yeah.
Knowledge is key. Like, I think this is like, knowledge is key for everyone, you know, and, you know, just having an awareness, you know, of the physical, mental, and emotional place they're in. And that is lacking, I think, in today's medical, you know, it's lacking. And I think, like, just empowering women to be where they are right now and being okay with where they are right now. It's really important, you know, and that's the biggest thing, is just being, you know,
that grief process that they were talking about was that they had felt they missed out on all of those years when things could have been different. So it's really important, like you're saying, to be in the now. And I know you're going to show a few breathing techniques and some tips, yoga stuff later, and a little meditation. But to bring you into that moment. But that's really important, because women are, and I don't know if they're aware of why they're feeling that, but it is that kind of loss of never kind of, when they find out that actually connecting with your cycle actually changes everything. And how fabulous would that be in the schools today, to actually change the sexual education in the schools, the way they talk about periods, and the way girls are talk, you know, how to talk about period in school, but also how boys relate. That would change the dynamics of relationships. It would change the dynamics of how each feel. I mean, it's a massive conversation. And I was saying we'll probably have you on a couple of times in the future, just to expand on a lot of stuff, because this is a massive area of sexual health and wellness as well, and, you know, for women. And it really is a place where change is happening, but more is needed. So you were saying as well, you feel more people are awakening to that. And as you say, knowledge is power, knowledge is key. So what would you say? Now I'm in the pre and peri, between the pre and perimenopause myself now. I'm in my late 40s. So around that stage, what do you recommend, or what are the issues first?
I suppose the pre is the energy levels can go through the roof because the estrogen levels rise. And I suppose just to be aware of that as well, that you can burn yourself out without even realizing. Looking after your well-being, I suppose, and even from about the age of 30 to 35, it's really important that we all, women and men, look after our, our well-being, our mental, emotional, and physical health. Like looking at our diets, looking at our, exercise, and I suppose just getting in more breathing practices, which can be really, really important when you're going through the peri and then the menopause. Peri more so, because that's where a lot of if you will have symptoms, is where a lot of the symptoms will show up, and be aggravated. Whereas
what are the symptoms like? I know that everyone's unique, but what are the kind of symptoms that women can kind of look out for to relate to that change?
The main one is that not everyone, because at the end of the day, like, there's no one that fits all. Like, this is a unique journey, like pregnancy is a unique journey, and everyone's journey will be totally different. But the symptoms, it can be mood swings, hot flushes, night sweats, a bit of anxiety, irritability, skin can thin out a bit, your hair can thin out a bit. So I suppose nurturing yourself and looking after your whole well-being from, this is why we always hear it, like from 30 onwards, to be looking after your skincare, to be looking after and it's they don't say why, but now you see, when I've learned in my courses, that this is all the things that are vital, and are actually one of the most important things is our bone density, because our people can be prone to osteoporosis depending if it's in the family and stuff, but bone density, the fluid in the bone density becomes very thin. So it's really vital that we do, if we're doing running, do even just do something very simple at the end. If you're doing a big hard yoga practice, just do savasana at the end. It's always really good just to rest the body after, give our bodies, nourishment, because it will all be a building block when it comes to, this transition, the pre, peri, and the menopause, and then thereafter as well. You can live a full life if you look after the building blocks, especially the bones and the muscle mass. Our brain health also is vitally important, because some women can get brain fog.
Yeah.
But I don't think you even need to be going through that to have that sometimes.
Yeah.
But also brain health is really important, and our cardiac, our heart health is very good. Actually, there's just so many things we should be looking after. The list is vast, but I suppose just the simple symptoms, if you're getting, is the hot flushes and the night sweats, the irritability, the patience is less, mood swings. But again, not everyone can get these. But what I feel is really vital is if you have good self-love and self-care practices in place from when you were, like, even now, it doesn't, like, from today and onwards, this transition can be empowering rather than depleting. Like you can work, and positive mindset is massive. Like, if you have a positive mindset and you're waking during the night, which is insomnia is another thing that's quite common. If you have insomnia, and like, I know what it's like. I've had bouts it over my whole lifetime. You're lying there and you can't sleep, and you're getting irritated, and you have negative thoughts going, oh my God, I'm going to look wrecked tomorrow, I can't sleep, whatever. Like, just changing your mindset to, like, this will be okay. Yeah. I will see tomorrow what my body will need. If it needs a rest, if it needs a nap, breathing, meditation, whatever it needs, I will nourish it tomorrow. This is okay. And it's just changes. It can let you pass in the moment if there's a hot flush. By positive mindset is possibly one of the big things to have. And then your breathing practice, because your breathing practice is your life force. And if you always connect to your breath, whatever's going on around you, overwhelm, this feeling of being not in your body or whatever, if you just come back to the breath, and if it's only just a few deep breaths in and out, it will just calm the nervous system, and it'll take you away from wherever you were at just before that. It'll bring you into the moment.
So again, it's really about connecting back to the body. It's about being embodied. Yeah. And that's what everything's about, really, isn't it? So the other thing I'd say is, menopause gets a bad rep, or has a bad rep. And we were talking earlier about shame and things not been mentioned, and it's not mentioned. And the medical system aren't providing for women. That support is there, that knowledge isn't there. They're not providing. So again, for my own personally, I'm always saying you have to take your health into your own hands. There's no point relying on a system outside of yourself. So knowledge is power, knowledge is key. And to look at, as you say, what you can do yourself. And now you're going to be shown, like you're talking about simple things you can do as well at home, just to help you transition through. But until people take responsibility for themselves and their own self-care, and realizing that you can't go on that way for the rest of your life, to make that, but actually you don't have to have a negative menopause. I certainly don't intend on having that experience, and we were talking earlier. So it's really important, I think, as well, for women, for the going forward, is also people's programming around and conditioning around the menopause. And we're saying as well earlier about women of that age, once they go through the menopause, it's like they don't exist, they're irrelevant. And I'd have a lot of women coming in the last couple of years feeling that way, that they don't know where they belong now. And I mentioned as well Janet Hayes, actually, she's in one of our lovely groups, and that lady's, she's in her 80s or 70s, and I'm definitely going to get her on. But talking about, connecting women back to their bodies, and the sexual wellness is huge. So there's not enough positive information and education for that. And the menopause, peri, pre, whatever stage you're in, is all related to that, and your life force, your sexual energy. And I think for people, there's a lot of trauma for people as well, and then a lot of negative programming around menopause, that you're on the shelf now, and women don't feel feminine. That was one of the things that women were coming, they didn't feel feminine anymore, and that's related, I suppose, to the hormonal changes. So but also the programming, because that you can sort the hormonal changes naturally, or lots of people getting HRT and that, but I think people are looking more towards the natural methods as well, so they can relate to their bodies, empowering themselves. So
I personally I feel like, from doing this training and seeing all the ladies that was in training, I first did a workshop on this before, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I said, I need to do being a yoga teacher, I said I need to do the training as well, so I can empower women to so that they can come out of that shame that's been there forever, and talk about it, and bring their struggles out of the shadows, because that's a huge thing for people, the shame, and you keep it locked away. And like, as we know from QTT, we can let go of, we can do release from all the stuff, and we can have an empowered life. And with awareness and compassion for ourselves and our bodies and our minds, this really can be a period of change, and positive change, and putting in a practice to look after our own well-being. And I see more and more and more women, like, society isn't, there's still a whole, you mentioned the word menopause and everyone's like, oh my God, can't talk about that. That's society and that's people. But women of this age and beyond, some in my late 40s and beyond, and even younger, are becoming way more aware, and they're becoming way more of like, they have another half of a life to live. We've only lived half our life, and the best is yet to come. We're empowering ourselves. There is lots and lots of women out there doing this, and we're empowering each other. And I think that's the most important thing, is that when we get, like, there's no competition. When we're younger, there's competition, and it's like, we have to be the best, we have to do this, whatever. Less things stress you out, like the things of competition and have to be the best in this job. Whereas now it's like, from my perspective, I'm seeing like women are empowering women. Like, we're all of the groups that I'm in and all of us doing our training, we are empowering each other. We're like, we can do this. This is our beautiful stage of life. You know, it is a beautiful stage. And the more people know, awareness is, you know, awareness and knowledge, if knowledge is key, and if more and more information for women for these stage, you know, transition and stages is out there and put out there, it can be, you know, an empowering part of your life, you know. And the symptoms, as you said, if you have the building blocks in place to help you, your positive mindset, your well-being, your physical, mental, emotional health, it's all, you know, building blocks in place to help all and nourish all of these, you know, the transition can be very easy.
Yeah,
you know,
when you're talking about building blocks and foundation, it definitely goes back to menarche, it goes back to the first period. And that is really kind of the building block to bring you forward. But of course, lots of people are in different stages now, and when you're talking about things coming out of the shadow, a lot of the struggles come back from that first experience. And even there, we're talking about periods, like, you know, there's still shame around periods. Now, the younger kids have a better attitude, but there still is that shame and that shadow stuff around periods. And as I say, we wouldn't exist without periods or a womb or a woman. So, so, you know, it's time to kind of get that out of the shadows and, you know, start talking about it as normal. Like, it's, you know what I mean? This is, you know, and it's absolutely to know your cycle. And to know that from a young age, the wisdom and the difference it would make for our younger men and women, it would be phenomenal. Like, it'd be mind-blowing, the difference, which means obviously you're having kids going out into society different and creating that whole ripple effect. But even back to menopause, the way women are treated, and I know things are changing now and everyone's definitely awakening, but the way women, say, of our mother's age and older, are treated is just not acceptable. I mean, it's almost like they lose their place in society. You often see men at that age actually taking their place in society. It's quite like, you know, so I think that's changing. And as I was saying, Janet, I must have her on at some stage as well. Definitely, I'll have to ask her to pop on. Just really empowering, you know, the ages of 60 to 80, 90, 100, whatever, like, you know, that you can still live a really wonderful life. You know, it doesn't all have to end like, you know, like the generations of our grandparents even, you know, that was all done over a certain thing. As well, just around you're going in from pre to perimenopause and then into menopause, the whole thing of the cycle, you're coming out of the childbirth stage and obviously being able to procreate. And I think women older now are using that creative sexual energy, that life force, to create different things. And I believe that that's another reason why there's less of that kind of competition thing in that age group, and they start to relax more about themselves, because they're not out there with those hormones creating and in competition, even from a male perspective of how biologically we work. So I think as well, just to that the older women do have to be taken into consideration and brought out more. Do you know what I mean? How wonderful it is to be that age and what you can actually achieve. Life's only beginning, as you're saying. Yeah,
it is beginning.
Life begins at 40, 50, 60. It just keeps going, doesn't it? It keeps going. Obviously, we're getting older, Martina. We have to push it on.
And another thing also, because I suppose we're all becoming more in tune with ourselves and our bodies and our spirituality and you know, everything. There isn't competition because we're ourselves, and we're the people that need us will find us. Like we're all unique, and and I think this is another thing that's just become like fantastic in what I've come across with all these groups, is that, you know, there's so much we can do. Like, you know, like before we were doing a job, we were working for other people, we were raising kids, we were looking after a house and you know, husband and family, whatever. Now we can, first and foremost, we've been looking after ourselves, and in turn we can look after people, you know, there's a bit of more confidence, I think, also with this age. There's a lot more, yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, and I suppose I was saying earlier, the confidence comes from another thing of not having to prove yourself to anyone, and your kids are normally grown up by then and that. But how wonderful would it be to have that part of what you have when you're older right now? So you've got small kids now. My last lady's in Leaving Cert, so yours are smaller, but how to have that kind of wisdom and relax and all of that women have after menopause, to have that now and have it before then. So like, to create that change. So even when we're transitioning through the cycles, it's almost like when I kind of sit back and look at it, that everybody's put it a certain way for each transition, because we're programmed and conditioned to believe these are the cycles. Whereas you can have all of these things within, you see the younger generation, and my two girls now, you just see that change already. They're going forward from a much better place. They're going to be totally different in their childbearing years and then menopause and whatever, So really coming out of that, in a way, transition. But obviously there's a lot of women still in that mindset. But the first step is to accept that you're in a particular mindset, I think, and that also accept that you actually can change it. And there is so many tools, so much free stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like you're going to show a little bit later, but there's so much available from the holistic health side of things. It's not available in the medical health, but it is available everywhere in holistic health. There's so much you can do to actually make that transition easier and to take control and be empowered in your journey as well. So would you just talk a little bit about say the diet and nutrition you were talking kind of a little bit earlier?
Oh yeah.
And the stages.
Yeah, I suppose one of the things that is quite people would notice is with hot flushes is caffeine. So cutting out our caffeine, or starting to not cut it out, but 2 to 3 cups max a day. And I suppose, but for anyone, that's enough anyway.
I was just going to go for the tea. Going to go for it anyway.
And obviously the sugar as well, because the spike in insulin can aggravate hot flushes, can aggravate irritability. Also alcohol, and specifically red wine. Red wine can really aggravate hot flushes. So it's one that if you do suffer hot flushes, they do recommend what we were told in the training is it's recommended that you avoid it. Also then, if you are prone to hot flushes, I think hot flushes is one of the most common symptom. If you do get symptom or prone symptoms, is to keep a food diary. Because if you suffer on and off during the day, the evening, night, it could be relating to your food. And if you keep a food diary and of when what you've eaten prior to a hot flush or during the day, you can, if it's possible, to eliminate that particular food to alleviate the hot flush, But and also, if you suffer insomnia, which is quite common, which is common in all walks of life, like I suffered it on and off all my life, is to always, a lot of people sleep with their heating on in the room, with the windows closed, and the best thing is to have a cool environment, the room cool, fresh air coming in. It's good for all of us, not just people in this, or women in this transition. It's good for everyone's well-being. And
you're saying about maybe a pose, the child's pose was good for that.
Yes, especially if you're suffering insomnia. Yeah, the child's pose, and it's really easy to do. You basically come down on the floor and you're leaning on your knees. You're sitting on your knee. You're sitting on your knees, and you bring your body, top of your body, down onto your knees. And you bring your hands out down on the ground in front of you. So you're leaning on your diaphragm. So you're slowing your breath. And obviously will slow down your nervous system. And you're bringing your head below your heart, which in turn will, soothing and slows down everything. And it stops, but also what it does is it brings you into your breathing. when you're leaning on it, and it will stop you ruminating about you can't sleep, twisting and turning, about your mind racing, and you're just connecting to the breath. And you can stay in this pose. If you want to put a pillow underneath that you can lie on it, on top of it, you could stay there all night if you wanted, because it will bring on relaxation. It's a restorative pose, which is really good for just, you're helping you relax, and then it will you'll have a deep sleep,
Yeah.
It's very good.
You could stay in that all day. It's very relaxing.
Yeah. And then there's loads of, they've done lots of trials on the whole breathing practices around the menopause, and it's like any kind of breathing. If you Google breathing exercises, it will, any kind of breathing that will slow you, your calms your body and your mind, and takes you away from the overwhelm from the outside world, or from even a hot flush or irritability over everything. Your breathing is your life force. You always come back to the breathing.
Yeah.
At anything, any difficulty, always come back to the breathing. And even if you just take 2 or 3 long inhale exhales, the difference it will make in any moment. It's one of the things that the kids, when I teach the kids in schools and stuff, the yoga and the mindfulness, it's the breathing practices they could do all day long. They absolutely love it, because they feel what's going on internally, and it's calming them and it's soothing them, and it's
so just say Martina also does kids yoga and loves it, so she also teaches that as well. So it's not just for the ladies, for the kids as well. And we were talking as well earlier about just kind of getting this, people more aware, and we're on about, say, teaching in the schools. Say now you do a bit of yoga in the schools. I know I was saying I was going to do qigong a while back, and then I just thought, there's no point going in. You go in for 6 weeks. Now it's great that they're introducing it in the last couple of years, but you're going in for 6 weeks and then you're coming out. So it's really about, I suppose, teaching the teachers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'd be much more effective to get, say, a class of teachers who then would be empowered to use that in the schools as well. Yeah. And they'd have happier kids who'd be more productive and happier all around. So
I do feel we're heading in the right direction. We're heading in that direction, because even 5 or 6 years ago, there would have none of this in the schools. And now more and more, they're seeing the benefits of mindfulness, breathing practices and meditations and the yoga for children. They're seeing the benefits from a very young age. I can see it becoming part of the curriculum. It might be a long time, but it will. Because I Brezzy Niall, what's his name? He's doing a pilot at the minute. He's a huge mindfulness advocate, and he's doing a pilot at the moment of mindfulness in schools. There's 10 or 20 schools, and if it goes really well, it could possibly become part of the curriculum.
Perfect.
It's a pilot at the moment. But it's all about knowledge, getting all the knowledge out there and the information out there, and just keep telling people,
that starts with you. One person starts with one person that has a passion, has a purpose, feels really strongly about it, and having that ripple effect. You have a bit of a breathing exercise. Do you want to explain a little bit about that? Maybe you can just walk us through it.
Yeah, I'll just do the one. It's just it's the humming bee, and it's really good just for especially now. You can do it at any stage. So if you were feeling just irritated, any breathing practice, as I said, will help. But it calms it soothes all down the body, calms the nervous system, takes your mind out of the craziness, and you're just concentrating again on your breathing. And it's really good at night if you're really struggling to sleep. This really works really well on my 12-year-old. She absolutely loves it, because she suffers like I did, on and off with not being able to sleep. Just literally sit up straight on your bed, don't even have to get out, just sit in the thing, and you bring your hands up to your head, and you're going to use your thumbs to just close off the flaps of your little flaps there on your ears, so you're blocking out the outside noise. So what we're going to do is, when hands on our head, we're going to close our eyes and we'll take a deep breath in. Now we'll do these 5 times, and when we're breathing out, we're going to make a humming sound. So I'll just do one to show you. So okay, so we'll go. Let the breath, the full exhale, go completely out of your body. Just really let go right to the very end, and it's really soothing. So right, we're going to do this 5 times. So we're going to close off the flaps of your ears and take a deep breath in.
That was nice.
It is nice and soothing. It's just, and there's loads more, like,
feel that at the back of my neck now, just relaxing the nervous system. Yeah.
Nerves all down, and down, soothes down into your, right down into your gut, into your digestion.
Yeah.
It's really, it's a powerful little practice, and it only takes, a couple of minutes. At nighttime, if you want to do longer, you can up to whatever amount of times you feel your body getting sleepy, you can just keep doing it, so it's really good. It's a powerful little practice, and you can do it whenever you want to. Just
and it's simple. It's simple, and it's really easy, to do. That was lovely. Now, actually, I really feel that kind of just the movement there relaxes the nervous system. So
I suppose so, like, also like the one that we're being told so much these days, and it's really good for say if you are a bit overwhelmed, just literally getting outside, getting vitamin D, going for a nature walk. And the best time to soak up that vitamin D energy is first thing in the morning. If you can get out first thing in the morning, it's really good for, just for your whole system, is that morning light. So, and we forget, we all have that,
and that's natural. Nature's free for everybody, and it's so healing so as well. Just to go back a little bit about I suppose the programming around menopause. So what would you say to women maybe that are in the depths of it now and are really having a hard time? You're on about struggling, coming out of the shadows and talking. Journaling is a great way to kind of just get your feelings out onto paper, but we know that the emotions are really what's driving the behavior and all of that, and it's all interconnected. So what would you say to women who are particularly struggling at the moment, say during in perimenopause, for people who are actually having mood swings? So we have I know the flushes or something, but a lot of mood swings and ups and downs and stuff like that. What would you say?
I suppose the most thing is always coming back to the breath. Because if you're feeling overwhelmed, the anxiety, like if you're having a bit of an anxiety, if you just come back to doing your inhaling and exhaling, it can take you past that feeling of overwhelm, feeling of anxiety. Getting yourself practice in place, self-love, as you said, journaling, writing down how you're feeling, doing positive affirmations. I mean, I can vouch for them. I mean, way back when I was doing mindfulness, one of the biggest things I had to practice was, way back 10, 11 years ago when I started all this journey, I had to do a lot of positive affirmations, had to do a lot of positive mindsets and stuff, and it is beyond powerful. Writing down so if you're having a really overwhelming moment and you're feeling all negative, to write down that this is okay. This too will pass.
Yeah.
This is just a moment. Take your deep breaths,
Yeah.
or get into your child's pose, or
Yeah.
if restorative yoga, get into any restorative pose. It's all about nurturing and comfort and self-love,
And
getting your blankets and your pillows.
And just to kind of put the two of those together, because lots of people for years were all positive affirmations, but actually it's not going to work unless you're feeling it. Okay, so the embodiment is really important. Like you're on about going into the childhood, to actually get into the body, because you can shout from the rooftops all your positive information, but if it's only in the head and you're not connecting it to the body, then you're not actually feeling that. You're not getting the body, subconscious mind, the feeling mind. So great to know affirmations, and then actually doing the embodiment stuff like the
nourishing,
breaths, the nourishment. And we were talking earlier as well, because I'm also doing this as well, but self-pleasure is very important. And I mean self-pleasure in it can go the orgasmic way, but I mean also just people forgetting how they feel.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and you were doing a little bit of that as well. So we're on about that, and we will have another couple of programs, I think, because it's so even just soft touch and touching your body, remembering, so you can feel your body, rubbing your belly, your chest, your shoulders, your head. It's very effective to just touch the head as well. And
even brushing your hair, please. Yeah, it's
it's lovely when when your kids used to brush. Well, mine used to brush my hair back in the day. It's so relaxing. Yeah,
I love it as well.
Yeah, because if you think your skin is your biggest organ, so it's got all the nerve endings, you're going to really, that's a great way to get into your body and feel in,
And our fascia, which is the skinny bit, that it's actually full of our emotions and our nerve endings, and it's so amazingly powerful. Everything is hidden in that, and the power of touch is just phenomenal.
Again, you have your oxytocin, so connecting to the part, that bonding hormone, and really kind of bonding with yourself. So so then saying somebody who's going through a tough time, maybe physically in menopause and mentally, that to just it'll too shall pass, and then going into a pose or doing the breath work, and that's going to have a huge change just on their whole thing, their whole body chemistry as well.
And another very easy one, and it's I know people find it funny sometimes when I tell them, but it's actually giving yourself a hug, wrapping your arms around yourself, closing your eyes, and even saying, like saying, you're okay, I love you, we're okay, everything will be fine, and just nurturing yourself. And
self-soothing, you try to get it's like when you're a child, I suppose, and you want your child, great way to show your kids how to self-soothe, isn't it?
My children, I taught, especially Kira, I taught her that, because sometimes she's a little bit of anxiety and stuff, and I told her that, just remember, just get into your self-love hug, and just remember all the people that love you, and you love you yourself. First she thought it was very funny, but now she just thinks so amazing. All these little tricks and tools and tips,
and they're so simple. The other thing is, you can have all the tips and tricks in the world, but if you're not going to implement them, you're not going to get the change.
Implementation. You need to.
And
you need to. But I do think people are especially, I suppose, this is positive thing we can take with COVID, is that people are awakening to their health, their well-being. There's so much more people, even when I talk to some of the moms at the school now, they're all on about all this, the yoga and the wellness and the mindfulness, and I'm like, oh wow, because I suppose people were struggling, and they were, people talking more about stuff. So the world is opening up. So I think
it's almost giving them permission. It's almost giving some people permission to actually spend time with themselves, where they wouldn't have before.
They wouldn't have. And people have even spending time with their children. There was this rat race, and I don't know why people were they had to have the best cars, the best job, the best of everything. Whereas now the simpler things is the best of everything. And self-care practice and self-love and self-care practice is vital. It's vital for your inner being, you know, and for your soul.
And just saying that actually when you're in that space and when you're practicing self-care and self-love, all the other stuff naturally happens.
It does,
you know, so you can have all of the other stuff you're saying, that, but it has to start with yourself first, because there's no point having all of that if you're not comfortable in yourself and you're not healthy and you're not happy and you're not fulfilled. So even you said in your 40s now, and same for me, I mean, I came into my passion and purpose in my 40s, and where I, you know, I'm fulfilled in what I'm doing in my work, and in many areas of my life I feel fulfilled, whereas I never had that years ago because I didn't know it. But then I didn't know my body years ago. So I was still, you know, you're unconditioning and unlearning all of this stuff that all these beliefs you have from the other generations as well. And you know, so it's never too late. Even going into menopause, you see so many women now really coming into their power after menopause as well, and it's fantastic to see. So even there, we're on about implementing, you know, rest. We're talking about rest, been very important, having that rest and digest time. But actually sitting down doesn't mean rest. So you could sit down and do that breathing we just did, the nourishing breathing. Or you could sit down and just saying, being with yourself, just closing your eyes, becoming aware of your heart, becoming aware of your belly and whatever, and just breathing. That's more effective than sitting down for an hour. And a lot of people think resting is just sitting down, yet they're still going with the head, 100 things I have to do. And they think because they're sitting down that they're resting, but resting is, you will actually get more benefit out of that 5-minute breathing technique than you would for sitting down for even sleep. Sometimes you'll get more benefit from meditation than a 5-minute meditation than you would an hour's sleep.
Or any of the restorative pose, or even like, say, I mean, yoga nidra, which is another thing
Nidra's lovely,
do.
I love that.
Oh my God, it's so powerful. Like, it can just totally empowers, like, afterwards.
It's like just what you just melt, don't you? It's like you just when I use that, you just melt into the thing. It's like nothing else matters.
You feel empowered, like this empowerment afterwards, like, you know. Now I have done it as well, where I've just done it in bed, and if you just go straight to sleep, you have the best sleep. Like it can do either or.
Yes, it do either or. And I found as well that because I had a 9-day immersion evening, and the nidras after, again, I was saying it before as well, and the same thing is that when you're in your body and you're more relaxed, you actually get more done. Everything just gets done easier, meaning, you know, you have to do. So again, it's all about that. And after the nidra, I'd be just so relaxed that everything would just kind of it was almost like someone else is doing it, because it was just so easy. It was, you're very mindful in everything you do. So it does it. You're not looking too far ahead either about everything you have to do. You're just doing it.
And so it's less like and everything falls into place. There's like, it's less stress on you in the body, and there's less, you know, it's just
and other people can connect with you as well. It's like, do you ever hear?
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
When you're in this, like, obviously when you're in this space, good space, like, you know, everybody else feeds off it as well. It's a ripple effect. You know, if you do this stuff, the self-love practice for yourself, everyone around you benefits as well, because they soak up your, you know, beautiful, good energy, you know. So it's, you know, there's.
And as well, if you're in your head all the time, then people can't connect, you know, where there's no communication or everyone's not communicating well. If you're not in your heart, then the person can't connect properly to you either from that level. We were talking as well, I was saying a great idea about say for men as well, because you can't leave men out of it in that way. Again, men always come into it, and we have our own masculine energy as well. So I know you're going to be teaching a workshop. Do you have the date again for?
I'm looking at the third last weekend of May.
Oh yeah.
That'll be my first workshop, and I'll be hoping to do one once a month, if not every 3 weeks, but possibly once a month. But I'll be hoping to do my launch one the third weekend of May, which is only about 4 weeks or so.
4 weeks. So that's perfect. So Martina will have we'll have an email address there, and you can email Martina and actually she's going to, is it the meditation? We're going to do meditation at the end. She's going to do one, and that'll be available if you email her. She'll send you a bit of a longer version of that meditation, and also the workshop details as well. If you're interested in just learning a few more practical tips and techniques centered around yoga, to just ease you through the transition and just to learn more. As I say, knowledge is power. And also, we were just saying with the men, I was saying you should probably now start doing couples workshops. So how empowering is it for men to be able to support women through these transitions? So open communication lines, it's all about opening those lines of communication, so that they can support and know what a woman's going through during that time. Yeah. And I was also saying about women coming, after they have kids, and me saying to couples as well, just to be aware that, when a woman has a baby and comes out of they're getting a totally different wife than that went in a couple of days before. So, or in Ireland, the day after. Usually sent home the day after. But they're getting a totally different woman. That's not the same woman. She's not the same woman that she was when she got pregnant and carried the baby. So they're every stage they're getting a new wife, and to be mindful of that. That they realize, obviously, your partner wants to support you, but realizing that is actually the situation. And sometimes just actually telling couples that, and went like, oh my God, I never thought about that. And it instantly opens up those channels of communication where they can understand each other better, because women don't want to be they don't want to be cranky. They don't want to be feeling all of these things, with all of the changes and stuff like that. And men definitely do want to be there as a support. So workshops.
Especially like I'll be doing a lot of gentle yoga around, bone density and, getting the fluid moving in the joints, and which would be really good. Like, I think when I do the couples one, to do this together, because this is, it's an intimate, like as in intimate, doing something, nice together, and they're like supporting each other. Both for men as well, it'll be really good for, for their joints as well to be doing, it's good bone for everyone.
Breathing. Yeah. And again, there's not much for men in this country at the moment. Just to clarify that it's online, obviously, at the moment, but of course, you're looking to do them in person.
Totally. Like, the whole interconnection, it's so much more, it's. A lot of people are loving it.
Yeah.
But I do love I love that being in front of people and just, feeling their energy, and feeling my energy, and support. Support is huge when you can be in front of the person and observe that they're okay, and like they can just be who they are in that moment. Like it's a little bit harder when you're on Zoom to observe those kind of things, but
I'm actually doing my training on Zoom. It's the first time they've done it, and it is really effective. But of course, it's great to be in the room as well. And she did say about supporting, but I find it amazing. I love online anyway. But I do. But I totally get you there, and look at hopefully soon.
Yes.
So do you want to run through the lovely meditation you have? So I've just got a meditation. Yeah.
Okay, right. So if you just want to take sit up comfortably in the chair, or you can lie down, whatever suits you. This is all about what's comfortable for you right now. It's a nourishing breath meditation. So you're just going to take this time for you. You've nowhere to be. You've nothing to do. Just be in the moment. So take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. If you wish, you can close your eyes, or you can leave them with just a soft gaze, whatever is comfortable for you. Focus inwards now on your breath, noticing the inhale noticing the exhale. Invite what is comfortable. So if you're comfortable, you can place a hand on your beautiful heart and one on your belly. Observe the gentle rise and fall of the abdomen when each inhale and exhale. Drawing your breath down deep within you, allowing the healing powers of the prana, your life force energy, to circle within you. Gentle, loving kindness for yourself. Notice the belly rising and ribs expanding as you inhale. The belly softening and the ribs releasing on the exhale. Try let your breath slow down. And remember, our breaths are our anchor. It helps calm and soothes our nervous system. If there's a tendency for anxiety, particularly with our stressful lives, stress also can be more aggravated in the perimenopause. You may notice when you are stressed, you are breathing from your upper chest, from your lungs. Consciously draw the breath down into the belly, really expanding the diaphragm, filling up the lungs, and then releasing a long, slow, loving exhale. If possible, try make the exhale longer than your inhale. Whatever is comfortable and nourishing for you. Inhaling deeply, exhaling deeply. Inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly. Stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest mode, and slowing our fight and flight mode, which we're in a lot these days. Mindfully observing the inhale and exhale, the soothing, calming effects of our breath. Inhale into your beautiful heart, down into the belly, soothing it. As you exhale, let go with a big sigh. Inhale again into your beautiful body, down into the belly, soothing it. As you exhale, let it go of a big sigh. Now confirm to yourself 3 times, I am perfect as I am. I am perfect as I am. I am perfect as I am. When you're ready, you can release your hands, wiggle your feet and your toes, open your eyes. So you can practice that daily, 5 minutes, and it'll bring you this nourishing breath, and it'll bring you in your journey, your step into your journey for self-love and self-care.
That was amazing. And I see you had a visitor there. So kids are waiting, they've been very patient. So time to go to the park. It was amazing having you. And Martina, we'll be back on with some more stuff around sexual wellness and cycles and all of that stuff as well over the next couple of months for definite. And again, her email will be here, and you can get that free meditation and also more information about her upcoming workshop around menopause and transition. And you have those couple of tips and yoga practices to do as well, which are really simple and easy to implement. So yeah, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it and you get great value from it. And thanks so much, Martina, again for joining me. So we'll let you off to the kids. And,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And chat to everybody soon. Bye-bye.